Join me, Matt Connarton, weekdays, 4 to 6 p.m. live for a discussion about politics where we put aside labels like liberal and conservative and have a discussion about truth and what's really happening in the world.
This hour on WMNH is proudly sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 171 Londonderry Turnpike in Hooksett. Serving all your employee benefits planning, design and administration, investment and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. They are available at 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
The Shaskin Pub is happy to be a sponsor in WMNH. Our location is 909 Elm Street. The Shaskin Pub is open 7 days a week from 11:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. and offers the best food and drinks in downtown Manchester.
You are listening to WMNHLP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA.
Times without notes. Donald Trump, he's lost it up here.
Auto sequence starts. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's that time again. Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM. And we have someone calling. I'm going to go right to the phone because I think I know who it is. Oh, and they hung up. Hopefully they'll call right back. It is, let's see, it's Monday, September 10th, 2018. Here at WMNH 95.3 on Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon, streaming at WMNHradio.org. Of course, you can also find WMNH on the TuneIn app, so you can take us wherever you go on your mobile device. And let's see, of course, we are on Channel 97 Comcast if you're in the Manchester area. And you can watch on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And we have a candidate who's hopefully either going to be joining us in person or calling in a moment. That's why I grabbed the phone. I thought that might have been her. But apparently it was not. So joining us here in the studio currently, we have John Hopwood.
Hello.
Is he a candidate?
I don't know.
A write-in candidate for suzerain of Amaskig.
Well, that's exciting.
I'm attempting a coup against Matt.
The People's Mayor, Glenn R.J. Ouellette, is here. And also Ben Dion, host of the Weekly Dion, which you can hear Thursdays at 6 p.m. immediately following this program. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good.
How is married life?
Married life is good. Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
Right answer, Glenn.
Married.
That's the right answer,
But Glenn,
Glenn.
you got divorced.
Yeah, but after 12 years, he just got married.
He's telling me I have time.
He just got
that
on
answer.
a clock. It's
Yeah.
like a basketball game.
Actually, I'm hoping that it's a lifelong thing, but in the United
Me
States,
too.
that 52% of the people get divorced within 5 years.
No, you're right.
And we have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon. Who's this?
I have Naomi Andrews on the line.
Oh, wonderful. Yep, go ahead and put her through, please.
Thank you. Hi, this is Naomi.
Naomi, how you doing? This is Matt Connarton. Thank you for calling. We were hoping to have you here in the studio with us, but I was told that you might not be able to make it here. I guess you're probably kind of busy, kind of a big day tomorrow.
Running all over the district. I really appreciate you being able to talk to me over the phone.
Oh, yeah, no worries. No, I totally understand. We also have, so Ben Dion from the Weekly Dion is here with us also in studio, as well as Glenn R.J. Ouellette and John Hopwood. So they might jump in with questions. But, of course, you're running for CD1 for Congress in the Democratic primary. And you are also, too, we should mention, so you were the chief of staff for Carol Shea Porter, correct?
Yes, I was her chief of staff and her campaign manager for those 2 winning comeback campaigns. So I've worked with Carol for over 11 and a half years now. I did have to legally quit my job in order to run for Congress, but 11 and a half years together before that.
Yeah, that's longer than I thought. Wow, okay. And obviously we want to talk about the issues, but I'm curious, what's the transition been like, going from being a chief of staff and a campaign manager to being out in front? I mean, was that a difficult decision for you? Did it seem like a natural transition? I mean, what's that been like?
I really loved it. I've loved the process. I knew what I was getting myself into, and I had a commitment to myself that I would work hard to win, but to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I just really have. And so no true surprises. We have this grassroots team that I'm so grateful for that we've had for many years. They've all come together. I say that other campaigns might have a political fundraising machine. I have the best grassroots team this state has ever seen, and I'm so fortunate to have such a wonderful group of volunteers supporting me.
Yeah, very good, very good. Was it an easy decision to become a candidate?
For me, it wasn't. Because I was the only candidate who legally had to quit my job, and I don't have wealth. I don't come from wealth, and the political system is not set up for people who don't come from wealth. So the idea of quitting my job and going months without a paycheck, I still have student loan payments to make, was a bit daunting. But I love what I do. I love fighting for and working for the people of New Hampshire. So that's what ultimately pushed me in that direction, to know that I could continue doing the work that we've done for so long. I could continue our constituent services work that Carol and I have always really prioritized, and I will continue to prioritize that. Our constituent service director, once again, I legally quit my job, but, I hired all these people. I've worked with Carol this entire time. She actually just won an award for exemplary constituent services.
Oh.
And that's, it's a credit to all of the hard work that she's put in, but it's also because the priority that Carol and I have placed on constituent services, that anyone who's having an issue with the federal government, you're not getting your Social Security check, you're having trouble with VA benefits, any issue with the federal government, people know they can come into our office, they'll be treated with dignity and respect, and we're going to go above and beyond for them. And so that's been what we've done over the years, and that's what I'll do as the next member of Congress.
John Hopwood has a question for you.
Oh, I just it's really a comment. I know Naomi from Carol Shea Porter, and just constituent services are second to none. And I have to say something. Carol was a stalwart defender of the veterans, and the VA Medical Center, we don't have a hospital, and they were famous for that. Very, very well known for that. I just wanted to chime in about that.
And I wanted to, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Hey, Naomi, this is Ben Dion.
Hi, Ben.
I just wanted to say I watched the debate last week, and it's such a wide range of a field, even for the Democratic Party. I thought you came off very genuine. You did very well in the debate. And how has it been campaigning and, I guess, comparing, or at least coming off as a different campaign from the 10 others that you're running against?
Right. Well, what sets me apart from the other candidates, and some of them are my friends, they've been my friends for a long time, and my plan is that they will be my friends on Wednesday. But what sets me apart is really having that federal experience. I respect the candidates who have state-level experience, candidates who have federal agency experience, but I'm the only one who has the relevant qualifications for the actual job requirements. And so that's what sets me apart, is talking about that federal experience. I believe we're living through a political crisis, so to have someone who can go down there, know all the issues, have no learning curve, have an experienced team in place, I believe that our state and our country will be best served by someone with those qualifications. So when I'm going out there, reconnecting with people, really, right, because I've worked with the people of this district for 11 and a half years, reconnecting with them with a new hat on. I have personal relationships with people in every town and community in this district. That's really what speaks to them as well, is knowing me, knowing that experience, both in Washington, but also knowing that I have that experience with constituent services here in New Hampshire, that's really is what resonates with the people I'm talking with out on the trail.
Hey, I want to circle back for a second to talking about veterans, because I was reading about this online. And I think this is yours, if I'm not mistaken, the Veterans Health Equity Act.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. John brought up a minute ago about the VA hospital in New Hampshire, and that's something that I commit to introducing as our first piece of legislation, because I think, Carol and I both think it's absurd that we're not the smallest state in the country, but yet we are the only state in the country without a full-service VA hospital.
Yeah.
And so I will absolutely fight tooth and nail to have a full-service VA hospital. I also believe it's really important for veterans to have care locally, and so I'm really proud of the work that we've done to make sure that there are community-based outpatient clinics. Conway, Somersworth are a couple of examples to make sure that people have access to local community-based care. And so those are a couple of things that we've really been fighting for, and I will continue fighting for.
Glenn has a question for you.
Actually, more of a comment. You made a great statement, and it's true. We're not only not the smallest state, but if you looked at the percentage-wise in military of all the states, I think we're 6 or 7. So we have more people from this state that go to the military than other states that are bigger than we are. And I think it's more than just a shame. It's almost an insult that we're the only state that doesn't have a full-fledged veterans hospital.
I was shocked to learn that when I first became aware of that. So, Naomi, let's shift gears a little bit, because I also wanted to ask you about, there's been such a split among Democrats on this, to impeach or not to impeach. Where are you on that?
So if I were in Congress right now, I would do just as Carol did, and I was there when she did this, and so we discussed it, and I agreed with her. I would sign on to articles of impeachment, knowing full well they're not going anywhere with Speaker Ryan currently as the leader of the House.
Yeah.
But I am cautiously optimistic, that we will win back the majority this November. It could be by 1 seat. It could be by this seat. This seat is of critical importance to that. And a different conversation can take place come January of 2019. So right now, they need to protect the Mueller investigation, let it continue to play out, but we'll see what the conversation can be in January of 2019.
Sure. And a couple I know you don't have a lot of time. Wanted to get in a few quick things. What about ICE? Because this has also been maybe not as much of a split, but certainly not all Democrats have been talking about this. But a lot of Democrats are talking about abolishing ICE completely as an agency.
I'm definitely open to reform. I definitely want to go after people that break the law, but I don't believe that abolishing ICE is necessarily the answer. They have a lot of duties and functions, and I actually serve on the board of a nonprofit for victims of sex trafficking, and that is one of the functions of ICE, is to go after people that go after victims of sex trafficking. So that's obviously one function that I would absolutely not want to see abolished. That's a thing I care deeply about. So I think reforms, absolutely, we can discuss that, but not abolish.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that, by the way, because I agree with you on that, and I think they get demonized a little bit. They actually do some things that are positive, but also the agency does absolutely need reform. John, you look like you're chomping at the bit. Did you have another question or a comment? Or?
Oh, I was just going to ask Naomi, does she vote in New Hampshire and CD1? But that was going through my head. I wasn't actually going to ask her that.
Oh. What?
I grew up in Epping. I went to Epping High School,
right.
1999 graduate, and I went on to be a first-generation college graduate. I come from a hardworking blue-collar family in Epping. So this is where my roots are. I love this state. I've hiked all 48 4,000-foot mountains.
Wow.
So,
no kidding.
Jeez.
Yes.
And you know New Hampshire.
I know New
its
Hampshire
people.
very well.
Wow.
And you did vote, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
Also, Medicare for All. Do you support that?
So what we have been talking about since the very beginning is allowing people to opt into, buy into Medicare. So Carol has a bill that I'll reintroduce in January of 2019 that would allow people of any age to buy into opt into Medicare. I believe that that's the next step to finally get a control on these skyrocketing premiums and deductibles, and to have that competition that's so desperately needed with the insurance companies. In 2010, when we passed the ACA, we knew it wasn't a perfect bill. It was getting the train out of the station. There was a lot of good things in there. We were really mad when the public option was taken out of the ACA, but we said, okay, let's pass it. Let's get more people covered, and then we'll come back and tweak it and make it better. But in the interim, we've only had 60-plus votes to repeal it. No conversations about how do we tweak it, how do we make it better.
Right.
So I really think that the next step can be this bill, which gives us that public option. It's something that people know and trust. Their mom's on Medicare. Their grandmother's on Medicare. They're on Medicare. It's a program that people know and trust. And so to allow it to be that public option, I'm really confident that we can get that done.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think there's a real possibility of it. Ben, before we wrap up with Naomi, did you have anything else? Or?
No, I did want to point out, though, during the debate, it was interesting. One of the rapid-fire questions they asked was, who would they want to be their chief of staff or run their campaign, I think it was. And I want to say it was 5 out of the 10 that could, I think it said Naomi.
No kidding. Now, that's interesting. Well, that's a good vote of confidence.
She was a great chief of staff for Carol.
Well, there you go. There you go. And it shows that they obviously have confidence in your management style and so forth. So
I hope the listeners at home heard that and take it to translate into votes as to why they should elect me as their next member of Congress. I really am the one that has that federal experience.
Yeah.
No learning curve, can get right in there and get right to work.
Right. Okay. Well, Naomi, before you go, what do you want people to know? Obviously, tomorrow's the big day. I don't know if you want to talk about where people can find you on social media, or if you have a website that you want to mention, or anything people need to know, kind of last minute as we're in the home stretch. But anything else that you want to put out there?
We are. I really have the experience, enthusiasm, and courage to serve the people of this district that I love so much. I hope that everyone will go to my website, naomiandrews.com, or find me on social media. Any platform is Naomi for NH. And I'd really love to earn everyone's support and ultimately their vote tomorrow, September 11th. I'd be honored to have your vote tomorrow. Tuesday, September 11th is primary day.
All right, very good. Naomi Andrews, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
It's interesting. Chris Pappas was on the morning show with Peter White this morning.
Yes.
And Chris talked about Carol Shea Porter in that she's the same person. She won in 2006 and then 8, lost in the Tea Party tide of 10, came back in 12, then it flipped again in 2014. She lost by less than 9,000 votes out of a 250,000, then won a squeaker in 2016. But Chris Pappas said she was the same person now as when she went, which is very rare, and then he aspired to that too. So, because I would be on Joe Kelly Lavasse's show and we'd be debating Carol versus Frank Ginta.
Yes.
And Joe, everybody respect Carol. You might not like her policies or her politics, but they respected her for being, who she was, stalwart and incorruptible, and a real person, a real human being. And Naomi was part of that.
Oh, well, very nice.
People, like you said, knew her.
Right.
Unlike Maura Sullivan, who nobody seems to know.
I've never.
Although we're finding out much more now. Like
oh my goodness!
Yeah.
How long has she actually lived here?
Year?
3 months before she filed.
Yeah. Really?
I learned that the other day. Just curious.
Her lease says she's been here almost a year, but she really hasn't been.
And
it's easy to get a lease and not move in.
And
That's true.
She hasn't voted since 2012.
Well, I have heard.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
She hasn't voted.
I have heard the C word thrown around. Carpetbagger.
Oh, I thought you meant combat.
No. I've heard that C word too. No. But
it's not.
I meant carpetbagger. How dare you?
The Concord Monitor had an article recently that she was shopping.
Fake news.
Shopping.
Sorry.
And she's backed by the DCCC. That's the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee.
That's too many C's in one acronym. That should be illegal.
There were plenty of C's. We're talking about the C word.
I don't like all these C's.
Well, it was revealed the Kennedy. She went to she was Marine Corps an officer. She went to Iraq where she said she fought on her website. She didn't fight. Fighting is engaging the enemy in combat. I think you had Terrence O'Rourke on, who's won the Bronze Star. That's stuff you don't kid about, And but Kennedy, she went to Harvard afterwards.
Harvard,
the Kennedy School, which also Chris Pappas got his degree, graduate degree there. And the Kennedy School Associate Dean Joseph J. McCarthy revealed that Sullivan moved to CD1 to primary Carol Shea Porter, and she denies it. And Kennedy came out, quoted in the Concord Monitor. We knew that Maura had political ambitions, and my wife and I encouraged her to run in her native Illinois or in Virginia in a district held by a Republican. When she moved instead to New Hampshire, her intention, this is a quote again, her intention was to primary Carol Shea Porter, who she believed was vulnerable. We strongly discouraged her from doing so because Carol had worked so hard to win and hold this seat. And he said, we thought very highly of Maura, and this was a very disappointing thing to do. I felt this was not consistent with how Kennedy School graduates should conduct themselves. So this, the more you find out about this person, it's shameful, It's just absolutely shameful. And it troubles me deeply.
Yes.
I'm just not crazy about people who's not from our state. And I'm not talking about someone that you have to be born here. If you've been here
like
30, 40 years,
Carol,
But someone who comes in just in time to make it legal to run for office.
Right.
Scott Brown did the same thing. And,
yes.
and nothing wrong with these candidates. Just that I do not believe that they're stealing our election.
Well, Mitt Romney, too.
How will they really vote when they get back there if they become the congressman? Will they vote for Illinois or Massachusetts or
she'll vote
Utah?
For the money bags that are giving her this money.
Yeah.
But at least Mitt Romney had a house in New Hampshire and so
Right.
did Scott Brown.
Right.
He did.
Gordon Humphrey was an airline pilot and won a Senate seat. He had a house in Winnipesaukee. He had never really lived here except for 6 months. He was a carpetbagger too. But the thing was, Gordon Humphrey at his time was more in tune with like the union leader, conservative.
Right.
It was blue then. Republican color was blue back then. Deeply Republican state that New Hampshire was at his time. But this person came here, calls herself a progressive, to primary one of the most progressive members of Congress.
It's interesting you say progressive, too, because watching that debate, I know about most of the candidates, except for a few or less known ones, but another one of those rapid-fire questions, which I thought were very interesting. I thought I learned the most from those than the long ones.
Oh, really?
One was, what do you consider yourself, progressive or what, I guess? And I think, I want to say 9 or 8 out of the 11 said progressive.
Oh, yeah.
One of the candidates said...
That's the word of the day for the Democrats,
I forget the term they
or
used,
socialists.
but I was very confused as to why.
Oh, really?
Levi Sanders did not say socialist. He did say progressive.
Yeah.
But it's something I've heard from a lot of the candidates. I had Declan McEachran come on my show, and he talked about being progressive and what that actually means. And to him, it was most of them saying they're progressive, but they're not really putting the platform on as a progressive Democrat.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting. I'm really interested to see how tomorrow shakes out, because I really don't think even the person that comes away with the primary win, I don't think they have 30%.
No, I agree.
I don't think they. I feel like they need 25.
25, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Chris Pappas will top 50.
I don't know. I think a lot of people will cancel out.
There are too many candidates.
There's a lot of there's a big clump. There's a big clump of candidates that are very similar.
Is it 11?
Yeah,
11.
It's 11.
No
Okay.
one dropped out either. That's the thing I was waiting for.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Talking about that debate, if you really watch that debate, and I watched it twice just to make sure, to get everything, to get it down in the brain.
You're very thorough.
And you know what I found out?
People's mayor.
There were 2 major candidates of those 11. I call them major candidates because when they answered their questions, they had their facts.
Yeah.
And that was Chris and Naomi.
Yeah.
They knew what they were
Yeah.
talking about.
Those
So
are the two
those
most
two candidates to me are really ready to go into the office day one and get started.
Day one, yes. By the way, hello to Peter White from the Morning Show with Peter White, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Who did a great interview with Chris Pappas
With Chris,
today.
yes, I'm going to have to go back and listen to that. And hello to the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, who joins us in there as well as Brian Brody and Brett Goodson. So,
You know, Glenn,
welcome.
you're absolutely right. You know, because I really like Naomi, and I like Chris Pappas too. But I decided recently I got to vote for Chris because of Maura Sullivan. You know, because I just thought Chris would have a cakewalk. You know, I was
Right.
talking to him the other day, and it's like, geez, I just thought if we, you know, we got to get people out to vote because people are going to take for granted. I just took for granted that Chris is just going to sail right into
No.
Congress.
See, I
Doesn't
don't
work
know
that-
though. I
doesn't work
think
that way.
I think Democrats are going to come out to vote just because of this primary, because of the 11, because there is a lot,
lot.
I'm really
I've never seen anything like it.
no, and I really think you're going to
Not even
see
in California.
you could see up to 5 of them getting a good portion of it. I really think.
Well, what
Plus,
five? I
you-
can see
let-
Maura.
So Chris, Maura, Naomi, and there's I think 3 others that really could surprise.
What about
us.
Mindy?
Terrence O'Rourke.
I think Mindy's one of them.
Terrence isn't really rating high in the.
He's not.
I think
No.
Dagwood
I like-
could come
I like
up there
Terrence.
too.
Oh, I like him very much,
You,
but
you have to
But there's a
realize
few
that when
others,
you
yeah.
have 11 candidates running for the same office in one party, they all have their own clientele, so to speak.
Right.
They're supporters. And that brings out more voters, at least for that race.
but you know, there's a lot of people like didn't they? Except for I would say like Naomi, Chris, and Maura Sullivan. Didn't they portray themselves as Bernie Sanders Democrats? Like, you know, Mark
There's
McKenzie
nothing wrong with that.
was the head of
I think
the.
that was another rapid fire question too.
But that's like
Who's who
8,
they voted for.
and they're going
Yeah,
for
but it
the
makes sense.
Bernie base.
A lot of
Bernie's-
them don't vote for Bernie though. A
Ber-
lot of them did.
Bernie's enormously popular
He
still.
is.
I mean,
Right.
he's going to be. I think he's going to run again. He's going to be the.
He probably will.
He's going to be the
healthy.
fresh new face of the Democratic Party in 2020. It's
New
going to be
face.
great.
But they'll cannibalize each other because you really can't tell the difference between some of them because they don't have the money.
You're right.
They don't have the ability to put things out there.
Although he did well with his grassroots
Who?
campaign.
Bernie.
Bernie.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking
Oh, yeah.
about the. You
But
know,
the funding, you're talking about the funding, and Bernie did very
but
well.
we're not. No, we're talking about
Oh,
CD1.
oh, Glenn.
CD1.
Well, you were mentioning the presidential
You've got
candidate.
8
so
candidates
I
pitching
understand
towards.
that. We weren't talking
pitching
about.
I knew
toward-
what you meant, Glenn.
We
I
were
gotcha.
talking about presidential candidates.
No, we weren't. We were talking about CD1.
Let's show some deference to the
All right.
people's mayor. He's
You know,
the
we
people's
just-
mayor. I have a
We're gonna have
question.
You
to
were
wrap
just
him
talking about Bernie, so don't deny it. We just,
No, Glenn.
we were all talking about Bernie.
Glenn, it's
So,
the 8 candidates
no
appealing
fake
to
news
Bernie's
allowed in
base.
this radio station.
It's all
Glenn,
fake news,
you had
baby.
a senior moment.
Not a senior moment.
I have them. I have them all the
So
time.
anyway, I think that one of the questions that I like to ask candidates, and I didn't do it this time, but
Why didn't you?
Is because she had to go, and I
Yes,
understand that.
yes.
But the question I would have asked her is that
About
right
Canada.
now in all the Democratic states, for all the elected officials that are running for Democratic positions, one of the big things that's going around is, as well as with independents that are thinking, is if you become that candidate
That's right,
on the
independence.
Democratic side, are you going to vote for Pelosi as the next leader, or are you willing to start off with a new leader? I want to see a new leader.
That's
Why?
actually that's a very good question. I wish I had thought of that.
That was one of the questions of the debate.
Oh, yes.
That was one.
And how did they answer?
Well, it was pretty mixed. I feel like a lot of them weren't really sure, and some of them were like, this should be something we talk about once we're there because we don't really know what's gonna.
Which is not an
Continue.
unreasonable
no,
answer.
but-
Voters want to know.
Nancy Pelosi
Right.
was my congresswoman. She's as liberal as you can get.
But
Yes.
I don't think that's something you should be
And very rich.
just vote on that.
Is she
Right.
rich?
That's not one of those things.
She's
where-
very rich.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was Thomas D'Alessandro's
She's not as
daughter.
popular as she used to be either.
No.
That's why it's come up like that.
No, but to me, if I'm a voter, I'm not gonna. That question I don't care about necessarily.
Yeah, it's,
Right.
What's going to be different?
I care about how my
there.
representatives going to represent me in New Hampshire.
And exactly, because we'll say about Carol and Naomi as her chief of staff, you could go to them and get things done.
Right.
They really took care of that veterans hospital.
Good,
And
good.
When she was gone from 2015 on, things really deteriorated rapidly.
Right.
And yeah, Yeah, let's not get about Morris Sullivan as part of the VA. Because,
Well-
one of the things that hurts me is that it was the Democrats that dropped the ball in the VA.
Well, now I have a question for Glenn R.J. Ouellette, the people's mayor, because we were talking about Morris Sullivan earlier and the C word, carpetbagger. Glenn, how long were you in Manchester before you became the people's mayor?
A long time.
And did you ever dress in a carpet?
No.
Did you ever steal a carpet?
Well, would you please? I've been here 32 years now.
That counts.
That's how long I was gone.
I wasn't talking. Now I didn't call them carpet. I call them stealing the election. When you move into New Hampshire, the year of the of the vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
From
He's
another
not a
state,
native.
What do you really know? I didn't say I was, but
You'd say New Hampshire.
what do they know? It's in my French accent.
I want to see his birth certificate.
What do they know about New Hampshire?
Yes.
Really?
Morris Sullivan doesn't know anything about New Hampshire. It's kind of, it's bizarre.
I'm sure she's done some reading up.
And where's she from?
She said she knocked on doors for Carol Shea Porter in 2006, and Terrence O'Rourke says that's a lie. That didn't happen.
Oh.
Then she says in 2016 she was knocking on doors for Maggie Hassan, and then all of a sudden she's knocking on doors for Hillary Clinton, which I know can't be true because nobody would dare do that.
Oh,
I almost
my
got
goodness.
lynched
You
a
don't
few
know that.
times. I thought I was putting Hillary signs up.
Oh, my. Well,
Actually, they were Carol Shea
sounds
Porter.
very, very dangerous. Maybe she meant she went knocking on doors on Halloween.
Maybe she
Does
just
she have kids?
intended to.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, intentions are everything in this
They,
world. that
they
we live in
really
now.
are. It's
Good
not
intentions.
what you do, it's what you mean.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's what my parents taught me.
Okay.
Things like that, and
My father, the 1945 West High yearbook, he's in a Navy uniform because he dropped out to go join the Navy, and it says actions speak louder than words.
To answer John's question,
Which one?
I moved in here.
I don't even remember the question.
when you moved.
Well, your comment. I moved here in August of '86.
That was my question.
And
How
I
dare you?
ran
From
for
New Brunswick.
I ran for the first, not from New Brunswick, from Maine. And Maine is a state. And leave it at that. And I ran for my office the first time against Ginta as an alderman in Ward 3.
You did?
In 2001, and I only lost by 248 votes.
That's really?
Wow.
To me, that was very respectful.
That's-
Well, everybody says that you should run for alderman at large.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, honestly, they
I
do.
would vote for him.
Yeah, I know.
I would too.
You'd
Yeah.
get many thousands of votes.
There is
Glenn.
one alderman at large that I'm not very happy with right now, and then I may very well consider it.
I always vote for Glenn for mayor.
I'm not running for mayor
And that's
anymore.
a fact. Well, I guess I can't vote.
Are you
Well, I'm
gonna
going to
be at the
write you
polls
in.
tomorrow?
Or did you just intend
You
to
made the
vote
polls
for
tomorrow?
him?
I did. I
work in
intended.
Ward 3.
I'll stay there.
You live in Ward 3.
I do.
Hello to Heidi Hamer, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. She's running for office.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
Yes,
Yes.
she is. I wish her well, really.
Yes, yes.
I decided not to run so she could run.
That was very
No,
magnanimous
really,
of you.
because
Yeah.
How gracious of you, John.
Yeah, well, my
Says
health
who?
problems.
Oh, right. That's
No,
well,
I
that's-
think she'd make an excellent state rep.
I said, what kind of a man is this?
And we have an excellent state rep in Tim Smith.
You love that statement, don't you?
I love what statement?
What kind of a man is this?
Is that about
do.
me or about
No, it's
Connarton
about
Ouellette?
that was Trump.
Well, when he said it, it was about Jeff Sessions, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III.
Yeah.
Your Attorney General of these United States.
Oh boy, I guess the world's changing. In California in the '90s, it was said that a political rally is two people sitting in front of a TV watching an advertisement, a political ad, which is so. And then you come to New Hampshire, because I remember Pete Wilson, who was the governor of New Hampshire, had been a senator too, U.S. senator. In California, being a U.S. senator is a step down from being governor, because he stepped up to being governor, and. He tried to run that type of campaign. It doesn't work in New Hampshire at the time. You have to go out and meet people and actually be engaged.
Especially in New Hampshire.
And he talked about immigration in 1996, and nobody gave a damn about it. And
We've been talking about immigration
found
since
it.
Reagan, and nothing's been done.
yeah, that's right, the Simpson bill. When I got back from the army.
We've
Well,
kicked some people out.
That's not the point. We haven't reformed.
I know,
We
I'm
haven't made any reforms. And until
Yeah.
you make real serious reforms,
I agree.
nothing's going to change.
No, I agree with you. I
Well,
agree
Ben,
with you.
you're younger than us. So what do people of
I
your
am?
age cohort?
You
whether
are
it's
the youngin.
Generation Y,
You are the
this, that, or the
junior.
other thing.
Yes.
What do they say about Congress? Is anybody even talking about it?
I mean, I'm probably the most political out of all my friends. So I talk to them about it just to tell them what's going on and who's running in the different elections. I talk about it in school too, because I don't care who they vote for. I just care that they vote. So I talked about the process of what a primary is.
Yeah.
My column in Manchester Ink like last week was about that. of what that looks like as a primary. I've had a few students that want to know and what it looks like, and I just broke it down for them because this is what you're voting for and this is important. And they're like, well, how important is it? I said, well, when you look at the Democratic side, there's 11 people running for Congress. So to me, that's a big thing. Why are there 11 people? That's probably a thing I should vote for. Yeah. And they're like, well,
I know what you're saying.
Who do I decide to vote for? And I said, that's a great question.
Do your homework.
There's tons of sites that you can go on and look right on your phone because that's the thing that always they have in their hands. So I think I had, I want to say 11 students total in my 5 classes that can vote in the primary.
Oh, okay.
And 6 more that will be able to vote in the general.
Oh, very good.
Now, let's not underestimate the new voters, the young voters.
Right.
Because right now, according to all major networks, they're saying that the young people are engaged this time to
Oh,
vote.
absolutely.
They're
No doubt.
angry, and they ought to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Hello to Gary Hamer, who joins us in the Facebook live chat, who says, write in John Hopwood for Hillsborough County Commissioner. I think he'd make a fine county commissioner.
I don't think I was
if
running
you're going to
that.
vote me in, vote for treasurer. It pays more. Put a disabled vet to work.
Right.
I'm very good with numbers.
Yes,
Well, I
well,
used to be. Not anymore.
I know someone who would disagree with you.
Who's that?
Mr. Paul Cormier.
About numbers?
That's a callback to the thing you guys had on the morning show.
I don't even remember.
Oh, wow. That's funny because you were really mad about it for a long time. Okay.
Now I remember.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
speaking of Gary Hamer, we were in the 1976 New Hampshire presidential primary, which also launched the careers of Ray Buckley, who was just 2 weeks older than me. And Joe Lavasser actually worked for Jimmy Carter's campaign briefly as a high school campaign assignment.
Shocking.
And Ray Buckley was more involved. And Gary and I worked for Birch Bayh, who was a great liberal Democrat who was one of the few people to write 3 amendments to the Constitution. The ERA never got passed, but the 25th Amendment he wrote, which, he's been talking about. And presidential succession, that was the presidential succession one. And another one, which escapes me, was probably the D.C. gets the vote. But you also had Morris Udall, who was a very powerful liberal congressman. And then you had Sergeant Shriver, who was like Kennedy Light, another great liberal. And Fred Harris was a populist, they used to call it populist, and senator from Oklahoma, who LBJ briefly flirted with making vice president in 1964 just to harass Hubert Humphrey, because that's what LBJ liked to do. What happened is about Jimmy Carter comes in, and he was a very curious person, being from Georgia and all that. And he was a conservative. He was always conservative. People don't really realize that. And
Says who?
He wins the primary because the liberals split the vote. There were so many liberals. And he only wins by a little. And there was no Iowa caucuses. Nobody gave that any credence then. New Hampshire was it. And Jimmy rolled on from that. And then he came, when he was president, he had a lot of trouble with the Democrats in the Senate and Congress because he was so conservative. He killed Ted Kennedy. We'd have national health insurance.
Whoa. He killed
His
Ted
national
Kennedy?
health insurance
My
bill.
goodness.
That's why
I didn't think
It sounds like Trump with Ted Cruz saying
he killed
murdered
Ted
I
Kennedy's
thought
national
Kennedy
health
died of
insurance.
cancer.
he did.
He
Oh.
killed Ted
Same
Kennedy's
as,
health insurance bill.
Oh, I thought you meant he was responsible for poisoning Ted Kennedy or something.
Well, they had a very
They had brain cancer.
they were enemies because Ted ran against them in 80.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things.
I
But-
actually remember that. I remember because I was interested in politics at an unhealthily young age. And I remember my parents actually watching the convention. And I remember, wasn't there a thing like Carter wanted Ted Kennedy to like shake his hand or do like a victory thing with him holding his arm up in the air, and Ted wouldn't do it?
Well, Jimmy Carter had alienated most of the Democrats in the party. But the point was that he was the one conservative that was running for that because they thought that Scoop Jackson would jump in, but he didn't. And George Wallace, who had been shot in 1972, didn't come in either. So he had the conservative field open. And people forget that he made the famous comment that white ethnics, urban ethnics used to be white people like Poles, Italians. They had a right to the racial purity of their neighborhood.
Carter said that?
Oh, yeah, in 1976.
Wow.
This is what was going on there. But then, he's a lousy president. Then he reinvented himself. Just like Herbert Hoover, a great ex-president.
Yeah.
Now, Gary Hamer and I remember him saying to me, Did you ever think, and we both voted for Jimmy Carter in 80, we'd vote for him again if it was between him and Reagan, but he said to me, with George W. Bush, he said, did you ever think you'd live to see a president worse than Jimmy Carter? And now we've even got a president now that's worse than W.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes.
Thank God for that.
Have you heard that the first caucus is not going to be the normal caucus as we haven't had in the past?
Well, that's a different. But
Well,
I'm just thinking about.
They are first. They're a couple of weeks before we are. So we are going to be the first now, aren't we? Unless
Now,
there's
like,
another caucus.
that's a whole nother, because I think the primary system's ridiculous and crap. But as you see, they're all going to go after one pool.
Right.
And Chris Pappas is progressive. Look at the fight he had over Planned Parenthood. Now, for Maura Sullivan to come in, she's got.
Are you talking about when he was on the executive council?
Yeah, he is on the executive council.
He
6
is
years.
currently, yeah.
Tell me that he's not a liberal and a Democrat, but you're portraying. She's come in, and that shows how out of touch Maura Sullivan is. Because can you think of anybody that would attack Chris Pappas? He's such a gentleman. He's such a decent.
She is
person.
the only one I think that I've received negative ads from about him.
Really? Yeah.
I received, I think, the same one twice.
Wow.
And
no
the one
kidding.
about
Her
the-
campaign.
Huh.
The
that
backbone.
grotesque thing about Backbone.
Yeah, 2 of those.
Even Joe Kelly in the last week's show said that Chris Pappas is a nice guy and there's no complaints. I mean,
You
for
would
Joe
never.
to say that,
But do you believe the backbone comment? Do you really think that's a dog whistle for his sexuality? Because that's
some
what
people think it is.
I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think
you're
it's a
not
little
part.
stretch.
Are you gay? So you don't know the types of things that come down. In
I can't be gay. I have backbone. I'm kidding. It's
I
a
still
joke.
think
Well,
that
you
this-
have the prehensile tail.
I still think
yeah,
that
it's
in this,
well, we can't talk about that on this
I
show.
still think that in this day and age, minorities who run for office, or because you're a different religion, that shouldn't count. If they're respectable Americans and they have a right. They have not lost their right because they're a minority or they belong to a certain religion or they're straight or gay. It just doesn't. Those are not the qualifications. And in this day and age, it's a shame that we still act that way.
But see, you can bait a group knowing trigger words for
Right.
them that you and I wouldn't know. Like, there's things if you're Jewish or something.
Oh,
if
yeah.
Chauvinist.
they're gonna get you going.
Yeah.
You don't.
That the
You know,
word?
you and I would never even think of or
The globalists is code for Jewish.
that cosmopolitan was the word, an anti-Semitic word.
Oh, really?
Rothschild,
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
all that
that
stuff,
we
yeah.
don't even really think about unless you go in and look at it.
Right.
Or African Americans, what they have put up with.
Oh, yeah.
Slights that we don't even think about, or we think, oh, they're overly sensitive because language and that.
Mm-hmm.
Because language hasn't been used against us.
Well, like what Ron
they have.
DeSantis did in Florida. We don't want to monkey this up, and it was so obvious, and
Yeah,
what he
that
was
is
doing was
so-
it was very
so-
it was
that's so
totally
stupid.
deliberate.
Right, but there
totally
are
deliberate.
there
yeah.
are other
course it
people
was.
that have used words like niggardly or something, which they get nailed on, which is like they're not even intending. To
We
do
need
stuff
to
like
take a
that.
moment to clarify that for
That's an
anyone
actual
for
word.
anyone who doesn't know, because
Two-
there was
two
a college
people,
Oh,
a
two
college
people.
professor and somebody in Washington D.C. the government
Okay.
got nailed using the word. It means like cheap.
Right. It has nothing to do with
It's
the.
an
It has nothing to do with the
old-fashioned
N
word
word.
for cheap.
I just want to keep you out of trouble.
But there are other, people can use words like that where it becomes absurd.
Right.
Then there are things like George Allen, his son, the coach's
Oh,
son.
the
running-
macaca thing. Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of it is in this day and age, we have so much of that I call trash, dirty trash in politics because this country is so divided and the parties don't mean what they used to mean anymore. They have their own agendas. That's why you have so many independents in this country that really are undeclared.
Don't worry about the trash, though. Trump is actually bringing back clean trash. It's where they take the trash and they actually clean it, and it's going to really revive the economy in West Virginia.
You really think so, huh?
Oh,
clean
absolutely.
trash and
It's
clean
great.
coal.
Donald Trump, he's lost it up here.
He said it, I didn't.
I like the new clips. I
Do
like-
you? Yeah.
I like those.
Matt, if you ever have pups, a litter of pups, your kids will be able to enjoy what I did back when I was a kid, playing in raw sewage down at the Piscataqua River.
Legally disallowed from having children.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe.
Oh,
Matt-
I thought you were
Ben's
legally
children.
disallowed from playing in the pool.
It's ever since,
The swift
the
pool.
incident.
Ben, you don't know what the United States was like before the EPA. It was.
He's the
Playing in
youngest.
raw sewage.
He's the youngest one in the room. He doesn't.
Actually, I am younger than Mr. Ouellette has been here in Manchester.
Oh.
Because you've been here 32 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm only 30.
So you're saying he is a carpetbagger, is what you're suggesting?
Well, to me, I don't know because
Oh.
he was been here since I've been born. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I'm taking it.
You're not a carpetbagger when you've been here that long.
Defend
Yeah.
yourself.
And especially when you
people's mayor.
know the politics of your state.
You do.
Right.
This
yes.
is my home now. I didn't come here last year and then run for office. That's a different story.
Right.
Totally different.
I think you came here recently and
I think
walked at a brisk pace for office.
Did you come here to run against Mayor Stanton back in like 19? Well, no, he wasn't around when he.
That's what I
Mayor
heard.
I
Stanton
wasn't
about
here then.
1980.
What are you talking
That's
about?
what I heard.
I
Bob
wasn't even
Shaw.
here. I wasn't even here
He
then.
came
no.
here to run against Bob Shaw,
No, I
the
did
late
not.
Bob Shaw.
Aren't you a Canadian? I don't think you can run against Bob Shaw.
I am an American.
In Manchester?
I am an American.
It's a
Sorry to
prerequisite.
say I am an American.
I want to see your birth
It's a
certificate.
prerequisite. I'm John Claude.
Let me tell
You're
you
the
something.
only one without French
As often
Canadian.
as I run
That's
for
true.
office, if I wasn't an American, I wouldn't have been on the ballot.
They would have caught him by now.
But Canadians
That's
are
true.
Americans too, technically. We're all America.
Well, that's true. North Americans,
The
yes.
United States of Mexico.
Listen,
you
the
know.
first time I ran for
Well,
mayor, there
that's-
was a
wait a minute.
challenge
That's
on my name,
America.
and the birth certificate was shown then, and they had to put it to bed.
What was the
What-
challenge on your name?
They said that I wasn't American, and I showed my birth certificate, and that just quelled it.
Because
Why
of your
couldn't-
last name?
No, not because of my last name, because you know how people are in politics.
Huh.
They can't find anything.
I didn't know that.
They
He's
can't
from
find,
West
if they can't
Bad.
find anything bad about you, and that it's not law or it's not truth.
Ben,
They're gonna find something, so they're saying, "Oh, he's not American; he's Canadian." Well, I'm not Canadian.
Trump would have just claimed your birth certificate was fake.
I'm sure he would have.
Ben, it wasn't until Reagan signed the North America Act of 1984 that the West Side was,
That makes sense.
officially recognized as part of the United States.
So Reagan
they
had a
just
lot
thought
to
he
do
was
with
a frog
that?
from the West Side. Where's your passport?
Well, when I first moved here, I lived on the West Side
That's right.
because
Well,
my
that's
sister,
why they. That's
because
why they
my
wanted to see your
sister lived there,
passport.
and I lived with her for 6 months until I got myself on my feet. So.
Oh.
All the frogs live over there.
He has an answer for everything. Have you noticed that about the People's Mayor?
Are you from the West Side?
No.
Do you have any roots there?
Is there anything wrong in knowing
no.
the facts?
Well, then you're a carpetbagger wherever you are.
Oh my God! Here we
Come
go
home
again.
to Amherst
That's a
City.
bad
From the
word.
south
isn't it,
side.
Ben? That's a dirty word, isn't it?
It is a C word.
Carpetbagger.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
I've
bad.
said it before, and I've had students go, "What did you just say?"
Well, actually, it sounds like something like if I went to UrbanDictionary.com right now, I might find that it also has a double meaning or something.
It's
Oh,
a bad
probably
cliche.
And turns out it also means something terrible that I don't want to know is a thing, which is why I'm not going to go to UrbanDictionary.com and look it up.
Good for you.
Who are you
Yes.
voting for, Ben?
I don't like to say that on the radio. Plus, I actually am still kind of debating it a little.
I'm reluctant because whoever I vote for, they probably wouldn't want to hear my endorsement.
Oh, well, that's very considerate of you. Then
You
that's
said
good.
it, not I.
I like to keep that kind of stuff quiet for the most part, at least on the radio, just because, I want to have everyone on my show too.
Yes.
I've had a bunch of different types of people on my show, and I have in the past people have decided not to come on my show because of my personal pages.
Oh, really?
Because I have said who I was voting for, or I campaigned for someone, and I explained to them. I said, I don't say any of that on the radio.
Yeah.
I don't say my views. I want people to know who you are, so
Right.
they can make their own decisions.
Well,
And
plus they should want to come on your show too and
Right.
convince you to,
Yeah.
to
if
support
anyone,
them.
if you listen to my show, you know that.
Oh yeah,
and-
you treat everyone very fairly.
And he does.
And I don't mean to. It's not a get you thing. I
Right.
ask typical questions, but yeah, I've had. I'm not gonna tell you who it's been, but
Yeah.
I've had some people, but I've had
more than one instance of this happening.
Just one, actually.
Oh, just one.
I'll tell you
Okay.
after, but
Okay, yeah, I am curious.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer that people should educate themselves. There's enough out there now. You can educate yourself on a candidate
Yep.
and get your questions answered. And you should be the one that votes. I don't have a right to force you how to vote. So I
Who's
agree with
forcing? We just want an opinion
but
from
it-
you.
Even but
Guys, dolls,
but,
who you want
but
CD
Ben,
on.
but Ben is right. If you're a producer and you do a show on radio or TV, you should. I agree. It's not really our place.
it's one
how
of
I
those
feel.
things that I don't agree
Oh,
with the media a
come
little bit. Like I don't.
That's your type of show. You're more
yeah.
of a here we are,
Yeah.
Manchester color. You're not like
Right.
Lavasser or me or Stinky Gerard going at it with
Yeah.
cudgels and.
I mean, I say my
oil.
opinion on some things, but
Right.
the voting thing is the one thing I try to like.
Right.
You
And
know,
you
you,
have
make your own
students.
decision. Yeah, and I tell them the same thing. Once they probably can guess who I may be voting for, and some of
Right.
them have guessed right, but it doesn't matter. That's as long as they're informed and they.
You're
vote
not
for the
shoving
right
it down
person.
their throat, and you're right. We
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing that anyway.
Yeah, and the media does that a lot when they endorse someone. Like
Mhm.
the union leader endorses someone, and I don't agree with that. I don't understand the reason for it, because it doesn't matter who they're endorsing. Their job is to tell us the news and what's happening in current events and give us those facts.
But
but you know, Ben,
in Europe, everybody's right out front. The newspapers,
endorsements from newspapers, radios, and TV stations no longer are the hype that they used to be. You know,
they shouldn't be.
And you're right. I agree.
Yeah.
Because I think it's because there are too many independents, and that's one of the reasons why they don't want to belong to parties. You know, we want to vote for who we want.
Right.
I vote for a candidate that I think that will serve our state or our region.
Me too.
Not
I'll
because of
tell
our
you
party.
what. See, you don't know media. You didn't do media studies. People listen to people. Radio is even more effective.
Listen, the union leader
than-
doesn't have the political clay that it
come
used to
on.
have.
Come on,
Sorry,
quiet
it doesn't.
down.
It doesn't.
People, the phenomenon of the radio is more effective endorsements than newspapers, and television was much more effective. People actually do look at to trusted people. They will listen to somebody. Even a Howard Stern, can affect an election, like Christine Whitman in New Jersey. They
you're
look
right.
to people
I'd forgotten about
for
that.
an opinion. They
There are
actually
some,
do.
but
That's
the
what
union
people
leader
are like.
doesn't have the
That doesn't mean
political
you have to be
pull.
like that.
The
No, I
union
get it.
leader doesn't have the political pull that it used to
We're
10,
talking
20
about
years
the union
ago.
leader. I'm talking about other things.
Well,
Yeah,
it is media.
Glenn.
I'm talking
It
about
is-
everything.
It is media. Newspaper is still a media. The last time I
The
knew.
union leader, and you
So-
had somebody on from the union leader, and it was a good show. But
Oh, it's a great show, yeah.
and the union leader is, it's not even worth lining a cage with flying squirrels.
Oh my
Matt's flying
goodness!
squirrels.
Wow.
Whoa.
Says who?
You
That's
said it.
fighting words.
Everybody.
No wonder they
Wow.
don't like you.
Oh my goodness! Yes. Well,
That's a little strong, heavy.
How can that be
jeepers.
strong? You're just afraid of. You're
I'm
just
not
afraid of Joe
afraid.
McQuaid.
I'm not afraid of any people. You
I
know,
think
you know
we
better than
found
that.
a new
But not Joe McQuaid,
primary matchup right
Oh,
here.
I love
No.
it. I love it when they
Can you guys
argue.
run against each other and something?
No.
I don't care what it is.
That would never happen.
No more running.
I'll have the
never
debate
happen.
on my show too.
I
No,
would
that would
also.
never happen.
I would also.
First of all,
Ben,
a lot of his stuff, if he
Judicial
doesn't get his way,
robes.
he makes it up.
Ben,
Just
Ben,
like you do.
tell
No,
me.
I do not make
Tell
it
me
up.
if you think
What
this
about
is
the
a.
robe?
Tell me if you think
That's
this
what
is a
you
good
make
idea.
Robes.
Ben, tell me if you think this is a good idea. I would also like to
I'm
get
gonna
them
set the puppy on you.
into some sort of celebrity boxing match for charity.
Sure.
Oh,
Who
well,
do you
we
think would
already-
win?
Well,
Glenn's got reach because he's taller.
One kick in the.
you train
tall.
one, I'll train the other.
Okay.
One kick.
I don't
in
need
the
to be
knee.
trained,
I'll take
trust
him
me.
on right now.
I got Glenn.
There you go.
I do not need to
Good
be trained.
luck.
There you go.
Are weapons allowed?
And then I'll go. Then I'll go after
Yes.
you. The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
You have to
Oh.
admit that my mind is pretty much set now. You're not going to change me at my age.
Oh, I know.
You mean when it comes to fighting?
Well, we're not talking about fighting here.
We've already got the Elizabeth Roth is going
All
is
this violence
challenged.
comes out of his mouth.
Glenn,
Oh my.
quiet down. Whatever you need to take your tranquilizer now.
You're the one that needs the tranquilizer.
No,
Ooh,
you do.
Bird.
Gosh, I mean, really? All this
Oh,
fake
jeez.
I'm
stuff.
rubber, you're glue.
We're gonna have to put him on the half-wit coin.
Yeah.
But
Oh my.
Elizabeth Roth has challenged Joe Kelly
You can be
LeVesque
so
with Jello wrestling.
disrespectful.
So what?
But I know people like you and Joe Kelly don't matter about disrespect. You disrespect everybody anyway. You're too much alike.
Ooh, how
Different
terrible.
parties, but you are a lot alike.
Two sides of the same coin.
That's right.
Oh,
there
yeah,
you go.
oh,
Well
oh,
said.
oh.
He said it.
That's
Glenn,
right.
Glenn, I'm not afraid of the truth.
Neither am I.
Aren't you?
No, I'm not.
There's
Can
a lot
you-
of issues you
can
don't
you-
talk
listen to me.
about. But
The
we're
day-
talking about
Truth.
this.
The day that you can don't avoid
Truth
the
isn't truth.
day that you can prove that I stole a robe.
I never made that story.
But you just said it again a few minutes ago.
I said
So
judicial robes.
what's going to happen?
You
soon
turned
is
down the
there's gonna be a
nomination,
statement
the
from the
federal
hotel, and you're going to eat it.
You turned down the nomination
Ooh.
from Trump, the federal court, because you didn't like the robes.
You're gonna eat a statement, apparently.
I never was offered a federal position. What are you talking about?
That's what everybody's
Is it
saying.
about fake news?
I would like to nominate you, Glenn R.J. Ouellette, for a
it's
judicial
not me
position.
that came out with the robe and the
It
fake
doesn't
news
matter.
about you getting married.
I'm not married.
Hello to
You
A.J.
were
Davis,
married.
who joins us in
Yes.
the Facebook Live
Are
chat.
you getting married?
Maybe in the future. Who knows?
Oh.
Well, you were all in a tizzy
What's wrong
about
with that?
I didn't. I had nothing to do with that.
I'm not a political person right now. I'm not running for office, and
Aren't you always running for office?
no,
Glenn?
I am not. And listen.
Yes.
What matters?
Oui,
what
oui.
my personal life is right now is nobody's business. You want to write a book? Write a book about yourself.
Are you writing a book about Glenn?
It's called the L'Affaire de Robe.
Are you? Oh my!
What is robe? I can't remember in French.
You're Glenn's biographer. That's very exciting.
He's not my biographer. Sorry.
I would read that
not
book.
sanctioned.
You know, it's unusual. You know, you guys must know French literature. That Maura Sullivan's partner, his last name is Sorel, and I just even before I knew that, she is the Julian Sorel. You know, from the Black and White Stendhal of New Hampshire. Have you read the Black and the White? You must have. Yeah, he's amoral, calculating.
Hope you're not saying that
ambitious.
about the people's mayor. Are you saying
No,
that about
no, we're
the
talking
people's
about
mayor?
Julian Sorel and Maura Sullivan.
Phew.
And then I find out that her significant other, his last name is Sorel. It's unusual. You can't even make this stuff up.
You really can't. Well, Glenn thinks it's all fake news.
Somebody wants to, you know, there was a time that you'd say, well, that's a Julian Sorel like character. And people would know what you meant. Probably into the 60s.
Oh. AJ Davis hosts a show online called Common Sense Radio. He's going to be calling in tomorrow, so I look forward to that.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Is he going to talk about Julian Sorel?
I don't know. I'm going to guess and say no, but I don't know. But I'll discuss whatever he'd like to.
You know, the best thing I ever wrote, I was going through some old notebooks. This is beautiful. I don't remember writing it. Then I realized, Jesus, this is when you translated Madame Bovary. This is that you're writing after all.
Thought you were
but
gonna,
I can't read French anymore.
I thought you were going to say you're Kim Kardashian.
Matt, if
bio.
it's not too busy tomorrow between 4 and 6, should I call in from Ward 3?
Sure.
Only if you'll confess. You know, we're going to sweat you out.
Sweat him
We're
out?
talking about tomorrow election, and I'm not on the ballot, so what are you sweating? What are you sweating?
You're inside manning the ballot box, right?
No. I'm
You're a selectman, aren't you?
Not anymore.
What happened?
This time,
Really?
Because the Democrats and Republicans got together and didn't like to have the idea of having. I was the only independent in New Hampshire that won as selectman, and the reason why they couldn't stop that, even though they made it illegal as the two parties together, is because that was voted in by the people. So I'm going to run again next year. That's the only thing I want to run for.
I thought you were a selectman.
No, I'm going to be a ballot inspector.
So you're getting paid.
cool.
You get the 100. Yeah, so that's good.
Selectmen get paid too. They get paid more money.
You'll do better winning elections once you're married.
You think so? I don't
yes.
think so.
No, I do think
if you announce the marriage, you
Yes.
were supposed to announce. We tried to get you to announce the breakup of somebody's attended nuptials, but you wouldn't go along with it. Sauce
I
for
don't know
the
who you're
goose,
talking
sauce
about,
for
and
the-
who am I
I don't either.
to jump on someone that I don't even know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
you're both having senior moments.
Oh, God.
Oh,
you
my
need to get
goodness.
the hair out of your. What do you call on a dog? Are those ears? Yeah, they're ears.
They do have ears, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to
Dog,
answer
ears.
that.
Yeah.
You know, paws.
Last time I
stuff
checked,
like that.
Yeah.
It's not deserving of an answer, is it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did you see the picture? I think that Brendan got him very well.
I love it. I look like an anime character. I think
You
it's so
do.
cool.
You see mine? He just made mine.
No, I haven't seen yours
I
yet.
just posted them actually all on my social media pages. Go on there on the Weekly Down page.
Oh, no kidding.
I posted the posters.
I'm gonna look at it
up
right now.
there, the cover, and so is the profile, the logo.
Oh.
It's pretty cool. It's really
He's
accurate.
very good.
Yeah.
He's very
How'd he
good.
do your hair?
Same. The hairline is very accurate.
Does
Well,
have a
he
beard?
gave
Does he have a beard
Matt
Yeah.
as well?
Is the beard? Yeah, it's great.
some more
Yeah.
locks than he actually has.
Yeah, I'll pull it up so you can see it, Glenn.
He's very good.
Oh, wow.
And he does it all. Oh, yeah.
That's the poster.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, that's
pretty
very cool.
I like the.
Who's running
brick
in
building.
3, Glenn?
And
For
that's-
Who's
state
running in-
rep?
Right now?
Is there anybody we know running for state rep?
In Ward 3,
bunch,
yes.
yeah.
Pat
There's-
Long.
There's only 2. Actually, there's 2 Democrats and there are 2 Republicans. There's no primary.
Oh, there's no
Well,
problem.
they have the
Yeah.
other district too. That
Someone
are
named
for
Phil, the
wards 1,
Republican.
2,
He's
3.
run many, many times before. I don't know who the other one is.
Oh, the Flotario?
Yeah. No. In Ward 3 only. And on the Democratic side, it's
Pat Long.
It's Pat Long and Gene Judy. who
Yep.
both
They
been there.
always.
They've been
run.
there a
They
long
have the
time.
other district too that represents wards 1, 2, and 3.
But that's the Flotario.
Right.
Is that a challenge? I think there's
Yes,
more.
there's 3. There's Matt Wilhelm, Dr. Jackie Greeton, and Jesse Martineau. Jesse
As-
Martineau is the current one, I believe.
As Democrats, right?
Correct.
Do you
State
know
rep.
who's running as Republican?
I believe there was 2, and I cannot remember their names right now. I had Matt and Jackie on my show.
Yeah, because they're running like kind of in tandem.
Yeah, they run together. Yep. And I know Jesse Martineau's mother. She was my social studies teacher at middle school at St. Joe's.
Oh.
Well, we are approaching the top of the hour, so we should take a break.
What
and
time is it?
It's almost 5 o'clock, and I have a very appropriate song
Seems
queued
like
up and ready to go.
3 hours we were at it.
I know, right?
Glenn is so obstreperous.
He is. Well, I say that about him all the
The
time.
old word.
I do have to leave for the next hour because I have another appointment.
Oh, you gotta
Thanks
go?
for having me. And
You're always welcome, Glenn
I
or
do
Jay
want to say
Ouellette.
one thing before I leave, and that is tomorrow, go out to vote.
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
you don't vote and your candidate loses, don't come back to us and say, well, I thought that candidate would win.
Yeah.
Didn't need my vote. It's not how it works.
Right.
And the only time American citizens can change the politics that's going on in our country is now when you vote.
Yes.
Every vote counts.
I agree.
So go vote.
I gotta
Well
leave.
said.
I gotta
The
leave too,
polls-
actually, man.
All right, Ben's got to leave too.
The
Make-
polls are open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's 13 hours. No excuse not to go vote.
That's right.
That's right. I agree.
13 hours.
I'll be there bright and early before my workshop.
Oh, very good.
We open at 6.
You're not.
I'll be there at 7, I think. around
Do you
7.
ever do the sign waving thing?
I can't because usually we have a workshop day.
Yeah,
or we
that's
have,
of course, yeah.
But
School
I usually
teacher.
do it after. I'm not doing it this one because I wasn't really asked. And
School is closed tomorrow, right?
right, we have workshop day. I'll actually be at the Manchester Downtown Hotel.
Oh.
There's a Ed Summit being put on by Manchester Proud, and a lot of teachers are
Right,
attending
right.
that. So I'll be attending that.
According
Very
to
good.
John, stay away from the robes.
And they're having a thing at the Bookery Wednesday. Is that Manchester?
I
Pride?
think that is Wednesday. That's from noon to 1, I think.
and that's
workshop,
the group
That's
that.
it's a meeting. Manchester Proud's putting
Oh,
on a little meeting
that's
just to
right.
show the
Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
And you should plug your show before you go too.
Yeah, so the Weekly Down this Thursday at 6 p.m. We're live. This week we have on Board of School Committee member from Ward 1, Sarah Ambrosi. So we'll be talking about school board, maybe some teacher contract negotiations because she's on that committee as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And like Glenn said, go out, vote tomorrow. Regardless of who you're voting for,
That's right.
go out and vote.
All right, very good. Thanks, guys.
Only vote once.
Yes.
What fun is that?
Top prime cut of meat, I'm your choice. I wanna be elected. I'm Yankee Doodle Dandy in a gold Rolls Royce. I wanna be elected. Kids want a savior and don't need a faith. I wanna be elected. We're all gonna rock to the rules that I make. I wanna be elected. Elected.
Would you rather vote for honesty? Even if you disagree, then descend into the perils of those who simply tell you what you want to hear. Or do you think you can pick between an offer of the lesser of two lives, searching for the truth and moral compromise? Lie to lie. Can you tell when you are being told a lie? Lie to lie, 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 lie. There's a lie that is pervasive, says there's only red or blue and the other choices are wasted votes that undermine democracy. A wasted vote is when you choose a candidate against your personal beliefs. Lie, 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 lie. Let's lay it out, get it exposed. The money is the lie and it's the home of corruption in our system, and it's falling free. It is us that they own. There exists a clear solution. Do not vote for corporate shills, even if they're in your party, because they'll vote against you once they win, and then they'll lie about it and find someone else to blame. Still deceiving, still receiving corporate money, that's their aim. Lie, lie, lie. Lie, lie, lie. Lies are coming from both sides. Lie, lie. That's what creates the great divides. Lie, 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 lie. Fomentation of dissent is a lie. It's just a way to force consent. Lie, 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 lie. War that helps another nation is a lie. More like resource application. Lie, 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 lie. Single payer price too high. Another lie. It's the corporate socialism battle cry. We live in a free market, it is a lie. Corporations are a welfare can't deny. All our wars this century are based on a lie. To the benefit of what our children die. Third parties are just foreigners, it's a lie. 'Cause they're a threat to power structure, heat aside. And free elections, that's another lie. And the Russians didn't cause it, but nice try.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes.
Welcome back, everybody. It's hour number 2 of Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, where it's rainy and ugh. Of course, we're streaming online at WMNHradio.org. We're on channel 97 Comcast. If you're in the Manchester area, we're on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page.
And what am I forgetting? And the People's Mayor, Glenn R.J. Ouellette, has re-entered the studio. He misses us already.
He looks resplendent in his judicial robes,
He
doesn't
does.
he?
You know, he looks, I like to say, effervescent.
Splendiferous.
That, too.
Yeah.
Oh, he's leaving. Goodbye, Glenn R.J. Ouellette, the People's Mayor.
The orange piping on the robe is very fetching on him.
Yes, it is. Does he have a primary for Mayor of Africa? Or is he unopposed?
Yes. He's up against Boutros Ghali.
Oh,
who's
the son?
No, actually he's the grandson because it was Boutros
It's a
Ghali.
wine, isn't it?
What?
Galley?
Say what?
Is that a wine?
No, that's Gallo.
I remember Boutros. Oh, Gallo, yes. Oh, yeah, right. Which was founded by Boutros Gallo.
Right.
That's what the show Falcon Crest was based on.
Yes, he was the illegitimate offspring of somebody we can't mention.
Falcon Crest.
We don't want the studio to be burned to the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Falcon Crest with starring the great Jane Weinman, Ronald Reagan's first wife.
Ronald Reagan's, when she was married to him, he was known as Ronald Reagan, which Nancy considered too Irish sounding for a respectable.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In fact, Dutch appears in my play about Artie Murphy, but I've yet to find it.
Oh,
It's
you
gotta be somewhere.
called him Dutch. You were close, were you?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So,
Yes.
there's this weird story.
Are you voting tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, I'll be voting.
Why?
Why wouldn't I?
Are you a libertarian?
I'm an independent.
How come you're not
I'm
a
small
registered
L
libertarian?
Why would I register as a libertarian?
Because you said you're a libertarian.
I'm a small L libertarian. I'm not an anarchist.
Can't there be a small L libertarian party?
No, there can only be a big L libertarian party. It has to be a proper noun.
Is it a big tent libertarian party like the big tent of the Republican Party?
That's the problem. There are no big tents anymore. Then libertarians, a lot of them have this attitude that unless you're an anarchist, you're not a real libertarian. That's what Ian Freeman will tell you. So I gave up on the idea of being a libertarian.
Now
I'm just me.
Small L libertarian. Are you one of the libertarians that are inside the tent micturating out, or are you outside micturating in? You seem like a micturating in type of libertarian.
Yeah, unless it's raining, in which case I'd rather be inside the tent.
And just micturate inside the tent.
Oh, yeah,
not
why
out.
not? Well, when you're a libertarian, you can micturate anytime you want to. The government can't tell you where you can or cannot micturate.
And there is that pole in the tent, and technically a Yeti is, I don't know if I could call you a canine. You might get
That's
angry again.
very offensive.
See, who but a Yeti would think that?
Yeah, well, we're sensitive. We're people too. I mean, we're not really people too, but oh well, we do have a lot. We have a lot of backbone.
Extra vertebra.
There's no such thing as a gay Yeti, is what I'm trying to say.
I know you're a very unhappy group of critters.
Well, wouldn't you be? I rest my
kind
case.
of had a robust type of gaiety before the sassy shame tail docking incident in Lewiston, Maine. But we're never supposed to mention that.
It's really uncomfortable to speak about. By the way, I do enjoy when you get the people's mayor riled up.
What?
The people's mayor. You got them
Are
all
you
riled
saying
up.
I'm bullying
I do enjoy
him?
that. No, I just no. it's funny. He gets all riled up. It's great. He's very passionate. He's a passionate man.
Well, we see his backpack over there, or whatever technically it is, and you see the judicial robe in there with the piping.
Right.
And, then he denies...
I'd be curious to
how,
know.
If he was never a judge, why does he have a judicial robe?
I'd be curious to know where it came from.
Me too.
Yes.
That's all we tried to find out.
I wonder if he stayed in a hotel where a lot of judges stay.
Motel or hotel?
Well, either.
You don't want to get caught in a libel action because, our favorite president has asked the 2 senators from South Dakota to rewrite federal libel and defamation laws so they're more in tune with New Hampshire.
Yes.
You can go after anybody who is disrespectful to power.
Right.
Yeah, the proper thing for an American is to kiss booty.
Of course.
Yep.
There's a weird story that just popped up on Reuters.
There is?
Yeah. U.S. MMA fighter Jeff Monson elected to local council in Russia. I think Mr. Mueller is going to be wanting to look into this Jeffrey Monson fellow.
I thought the Mad Russian died.
The Mad Russian? The hypnotist? The Mad Russian? I hope he hasn't passed away. I would have heard about it.
Would you have?
I think so.
How if you were in a hypnotic trance?
Well, that's true. Well, then I still would have heard about it.
I don't even know what day it is.
Oh.
I know it's Monday. Is it the 10th or the 9th?
It is the 10th.
Jesus.
Tomorrow is September 11th.
A day that will live in infamy.
Yes. AJ Davis wants to talk about that tomorrow when he calls in. September 11th, 17 days later. 17 years later. Wow, hard to believe.
Well, you have been time traveling, so something might be 17 days.
Yes.
Some days.
Well, that's true. Says here, U.S. mixed martial arts fighter Jeffrey Monson, granted Russian citizenship by President Vladimir Putin in May, was elected on Sunday to the Council of Deputies of a small city just outside Moscow. Official election results showed today. Monson, age 47, a tattooed cage fighter known as the Snowman, registered in June to run for a seat on the council in Krasnogorsk.
I've heard of that.
Have you? Northwest of Moscow,
Krasny's red.
Where election documents say he now works as a coach in a sports club. On the website of Moscow's election commission, Monson is listed as fourth on the ruling United Russia Party's list of candidates for the Krasnogorsk City Council. United Russia won 47.9% of this vote, automatically securing a seat for the MMA fighter who was born in the U.S. state of Minnesota. Writing on social media, Monson, who has previously cultivated ties to the Russian Communist Party, said he ran as an independent.
So he's not going to be a U.S. citizen anymore.
Well, how does that work? I mean, would he have to renounce his U.S. citizenship? I don't know.
Look who's the head of the U.S. Jughead. Well, not Jughead. Actually, is Jughead running up for his seat up in Texas?
Oh, he's fighting for his life against
Jughead?
Beto O'Rourke. Yeah, Ted Cruz. Yeah.
Oh, so I mean, La Grande Orange. Anything goes, right?
That's true. Yes.
Donald Trump, he's lost it up here.
Monson said today, quote, "I was invited by United Russia Party to run, but I'm an independent. Unfortunately, I learned there are no communists in Communist Party in Russia."
Oh, how awful.
Oh. Monson, a vocal critic of U.S. foreign policy, said in January 2016 he was applying for Russian citizenship because he felt a solidarity with the Russian people since he first visited their country in 2011. Really? Monson was cited as saying on election day by the local division of the United Russia Party, quote, "I have big plans for work with children and preparing various projects, including projects focused on promoting healthy lifestyles. Everything I do in Krasnogorsk, it's because I love Russia," unquote. Okay. I bet he's been hanging out with Steven Seagal because he also loves Russia. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, Steven Seagal, he's done all those movies where he's a patriotic American action hero, but he loves Putin. He loves Putin the way I think Trump loves Putin. I wonder why Trump hasn't appointed Steven Seagal to some sort of ambassadorship.
Well, John Huntsman's the ambassador, although the media never talks about it and never features him.
Yeah, why is that?
Because the media sucks.
Well, that's as good a reason as any. My goodness. Damn you, media.
Oh, it's for boobs.
Yes, the media is for boobs. Not those kind. You know what we mean.
Stormy.
Yes. And Trump has received another letter from his buddy Kim Jong-un asking for another meeting. Another meeting.
Well, that's hopeful.
Is it?
Is it?
I guess.
Maybe he wants his robe back from the Pyong Hilton.
Oh, my goodness.
Whatever the hell it is. He finally did open that 105-story paramedical skyscraper after like 30 years. Maybe it will be rebranded as a Trump property.
Well, these things take time.
I guess.
Yeah, it says here, again, this is from Reuters. He received a letter from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un asking for a second meeting, and the White House is already looking at scheduling one. Sarah Sanders has said.
Who reads the letters for him?
Oh, that's a good question. And does he actually receive all the letters? I mean, because
it must be an email.
Sometimes letters are removed from his desk, apparently. Yeah.
Probably before he can sign them.
Did we ever discuss the op-ed? Did we?
Yes, but I think
I can't remember if you had a theory.
It's Coates.
Oh, you agree it's Dan Coates?
Yeah, anybody else,
Okay.
Could be Coates. I don't think it's Mathis. He's too disciplined. He's a 4-star general. Kelly's a little off the wall and he's under stress. But
Yeah.
yet again, you got a 4-star general and a Marine. They're disciplined. And Coates, like you said, when we had Bill Barry was called and everything, he has nothing to lose. He's in his 70s.
Right,
This is
right.
his last job.
Yeah.
And he probably takes it very seriously.
He's my first pick, and my second pick is Kellyanne Conway.
What do you think about Bob Woodward saying the New York Times shouldn't have published it?
Oh, did he say that? Did Woodward say that?
Yeah.
That they shouldn't have?
Well, there's always been a rivalry between the Washington Post and the New York Times.
Oh.
When you're thinking of Bob Woodward, it goes back when I remember when I was a kid. Who's going to scoop whom? And the Post scooped the Times.
Ah, that makes sense. Archie Frangudis is in the Facebook live chat, and he says, listening. You ever get the Frangudis at the deli?
No, Greek food gives me the runs.
I understand.
Unless it's Chris Pappas. He makes some good. Is it I have dyslexia. Baklava.
Oh, baklava.
Baklava. Oh, it's great up there. It's so light and everything.
I tried baklava once. I couldn't eat it. It was so rich. It was like I ate one bite, and I was like, cool, I'm pretty sure I have diabetes now.
Chris Pappas, the front room. The Puritan.
The Puritan.
Where everybody's worked there.
Is that-
Generations of people.
Is that their slogan, the Puritan? Everybody's worked here?
No, I just know.
Because that's pretty catchy. I can imagine that on a menu.
But it's
Welcome
almost
to
like
the
every
Puritan.
third person in Manchester has at one time worked, at the Puritan.
I think you're exaggerating.
Well, my generation.
Your generation exaggerates.
Well, we are prone to hyperbolization.
Yes.
I'm a baby boomer.
Uh,
We've given you Bill Clinton and George W. Bush.
That's true.
La Grande Orange, and even Obama is a late baby boomer. He's only 2 years older than me, and it's generally considered to go to about 64.
Wait, Obama's 2 years older than you?
2 years younger. Excuse me.
Okay. I was going to say. Archie
I'm 2 years older.
Archie Frangudis says, I do not care for it very much, but baklava. Yeah. I like a Greek salad with a lot of feta cheese. That's what I like.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't give you gastrointestinal issues?
No, he's just making a joke.
All right. I understand. And Omarosa apparently has some new tapes of Trump that she's revealed.
Oh.
Yes.
She's taking her sweet time.
Yes, I know. Well, she's got that. Actually, I think she's playing it smart because she's got the book to promote. So by kind of leaking these out a little bit at a time, it keeps the, because she's got, what's that?
It's a puppy.
Oh, okay. Why do you have a puppy all of a sudden?
Why not?
Don't have a puppy. Isn't that an expression?
It's a spirit animal.
Oh, okay. Says here, former White House aide Omarosa Manigault Newman today released new tapes of Trump in a private meeting talking about former Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton's ties to Russia. I bet I know what he said before we get to the quote. I bet he talked about her being crooked Hillary.
You think it's unethical?
What, all the recording?
Yeah.
I know, but it's delicious. Manigault Newman
Like the baklava?
No, I don't know. I can't eat it. Manigault Newman played the audio recording on ABC's The View, prefacing it by saying it is from an October 2017 meeting with the White House communications and press teams. Quote, when Donald Trump got bored, which was very often because his attention span was very short, he would sometimes try to figure out what meetings were taking place in the White House, and he would crash those meetings. This was a meeting with the entire communications staff and the press shop. We were meeting to talk about tax reform or his trip to North Korea. I don't believe that he has a short attention span.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes.
See, he's clearly a very focused man.
Well, he is a CEO of was it a company or whatever it is he was the CEO of. You have to drop in on things and
that's right.
Whip people. Well, that might get, that's getting into like slavery. And
right, yes.
Maybe he actually uses a whip,
Well, that's
BDSM?
a terrible thing to even visualize.
BDSM?
BDSM, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Donald Trump, he's lost it up here.
He does seem to be attracted to women with good rumps, spankable bottoms.
Well, aren't we all? Well, those of us who are heterosexual. I mean, we have backbone, right?
Yes. Minus curve.
TMI.
Actually is.
Okay. Let's see. Omarosa rather, said, quote, he came into the meeting, he sat down, and he starts rambling from topic to topic. None of it makes sense. And this is in October of last year, so this is 12 months after the election, and he's still talking about Hillary Clinton. Well, I find that very easy to believe because he still tweets about Hillary Clinton. He still wants Jeff Sessions to be investigating Hillary Clinton, lock her up, and crooked Hillary and all that. I think he's secretly in love with her.
I doubt that.
I do too, actually. I was sort of kidding. Sort of.
He was a good friend of Bill at one time. He probably shares.
Oh, no. Where are you?
Bill's hostility towards Hillary.
Oh, geez. Okay. I thought you were going somewhere else with that. I was about to... frankly, completely panic.
When you have Melania Trump, how could your eyes be anywhere else except maybe your daughter?
Right. Well, he does.
Daughter.
He does like the.
Really believe.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Here's Glenn R.J. Ouellette saying, "I'm from New Hampshire." Yeah, it's New Hampshire. Everybody, New Hampshire. See,
I think he pronounces it New Hampshire, doesn't he? Isn't it?
And it's New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, I think he's.
There's a lot of suspect jibber-jabbering by the people's
I think he's
mayor.
I think he's secretly from Kenya, and that's why he's running for mayor of Africa.
Since he was part when he came to Manchester, he was part of that. What do they call it? They got the horse, pantomime horse.
Oh,
remember he had just worked his way up from the rear end into the actually operating the thing.
He's ambitious, and that's why I like him.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the rump to the head.
From the rump to the hump.
And but for his problem with flatulence, that act might still be going on.
I guess rump to the hump doesn't work, right? Because we're talking about a horse, not a camel. I take that back. I went for it because it rhymes, and that's not a good reason.
I think you're tipping off some inside information here. Huh?
Well, I probably am, and that's a terrible thing to do.
It's a hard job to bring up the rear in a pantomime horse act, but somebody's got to do it.
My grandfather used to say that all the time. Of course, he had dementia.
Right.
In the tape, Trump claims that, quote, the real Russia story is Hillary and collusion, unquote. A statement he has made in public multiple times. He alleges the Clinton campaign paid $9 million for an unidentified phony report. When White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders says it is, quote, closer to $6 million, Trump says she is wrong, adding the money was spent through a law firm. Oh, I'm surprised he didn't say funneled through a law firm.
Why does he just name the firm?
Seems to be the parlance. He says, quote, that way they can't trace it, but they traced it. One thing in this business is they trace it.
Who's they?
I don't know. It's Trump. It doesn't matter. None of this has to be anchored in any sort of reality. He adds, quote, the reason a law firm is because this way you don't have to give any papers, but they found out it's definitely illegal, and it's illegal from a campaign standpoint, from a campaign financing standpoint, unquote.
Now, did he really think that Michael Cohen, there was not going to be any paper trail or any trail there? With the Stormy Daniels and, what's her name, McDougal? The playmate?
Says who?
Playboy.
Karen
model?
McDougal, is that her name?
Yeah, so he's actually projecting himself onto this.
Yes. Ooh, he's a fascinating man psychologically, that's for sure. At the end of the tape, Trump looks to his staff for affirmation. He asks, quote, so the whole Russia thing, I think, seems to have turned around. What do you think, Sarah? What does that even mean? Absolutely, Sanders can be heard replying. Manigault Newman said the tape backs up her claims that Trump is mentally unstable.
This is meaningless. This is what we see. This is the same stuff we see in public.
Donald Trump.
What's so special about this crap?
Lost it up here.
Well, Omarosa.
What's special about that?
Do you doubt the credibility of Omarosa Manigault Newman? She's the most successful villain in the history of reality television. How dare you?
I mean, this isn't news. This is nothing.
Yes, this is wonderful. I love this stuff.
He says this all the time.
I love this stuff. I know, but he's on tape saying this stuff. It's great.
He's been on TV saying this stuff.
Yes. The former Trump.
He's the same jerk.
I know. It's very affirming. The former Trump ally and co-star of reality television show Celebrity Apprentice has released multiple tapes from her time in the White House. Okay, we know.
Not one of that's made any impact at all.
Yeah, although I do love the tape where Trump calls her and he's like, "Oh, you got fired, huh? Damn it."
Now, does he use a racial slur in any of these tapes like she said he did?
Not yet, but that could be coming. That could be the coup de grace,
Right,
the
'cause
main event.
You got to doctor that tape up, right?
Oh, you sound very... You are impugning the integrity of Omarosa, and
This
I'll
is
tell
all
you,
crap.
if she were here right now, she would have some things to say to you, wouldn't she?
Somebody like it's such crap.
Oh, well, you know what you might enjoy then, because of your skepticism. You might enjoy. You remember Bernie McGurk, Bernard McGurk? He was like a sidekick to Imus. Remember him?
Wasn't he a character in a Gene Shepard story?
Maybe that as well. I don't know. McGurk is a funny name. I shouldn't say that because
What's he
I am
appointed ambassador to Transylvania or something?
Not yet, but I'm sure he's angling for such. But there is audio of she was on his program, and since you're a little down on Omarosa, you might enjoy this.
I thought he died of prostate cancer.
Bernie McGurk?
No, Don Imus.
No, he's still with us.
Oh.
No, he beat cancer.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You don't hear about him as much as you do.
Well, he retired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, here's some audio of McGurk sticking it to Omarosa. You might enjoy this.
Now, listen, Omarosa, the book is Unhinged. And, of course, if you heard about it, a lot of stuff in the book, Unhinged. You might want to read it. Omarosa on the line with Bernie and Sid. But also, Omarosa, the president tweeted out that you were a lowlife. He called you a dog. And some people were so upset at you that they were mad at Trump that he insulted dogs, saying that dogs are loyal. He should call you a snake or a rat or something like that. But my question to you is this. It wasn't just substance. You smeared his marriage. You actually said that Trump, quote-unquote, covets his daughter. He wants to have sex with his daughter. Can you understand why people think that, and why Trump would think that what you did, after what he did for you, was so despicable?
Well, what you just listed, I can't even believe came from the mouth or that the president of the United States would say those things. Let's start with that.
Well, let's start with the fact that you said he wants to hose his daughter.
In the White House. Well, he said it himself. Do you remember on Howard Stern? He said, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd have sex with her.
But he
Are
didn't
we
say
ignoring
that.
the words that came out of Donald Trump's own mouth? On the Wendy
Right, that isn't exactly here. Not to interrupt the clip, but this is what he literally
If
said.
Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Now, they might be dating, but not. But it could be platonically.
Yeah, sure.
Just going to a movie or something.
Williams, she asked him, what do you guys have in common? Ivanka Trump said golf. Donald Trump said sex. These are the things that came out of his mouth.
But the only thing I would say to that,
But yet 90% of
the only thing I
men.
would say to that, those are true. He did say those things.
Trump said.
Okay,
He said those things.
He did say those things.
Out of his mouth.
But he did say those things. You're right, he did. And I heard it on Stern, and I couldn't believe it, to be honest. But the truth is, he said those things even before you guys had this relationship, and you still entered this relationship very enthusiastically, very willingly. It didn't seem to bother you when he said those things before until you got fired. Let's be honest.
Well, you're trying to make that correlation, but in Unhinged, I pull back the curtain on everything.
Okay.
Not just his relationship with his daughter, his wife, his children, but his relationship with the American people. You're trying to make this and reduce it down between just Donald Trump and I having differences. It's bigger than us. It's about the country. It's about the democracy. It's about our freedoms. And those things are being challenged by someone who is not mentally fit to sit in the office. I am not a person who's so driven by ego to think that it's all about me. Because it's not just all about me. I should not have been locked in this situation. The first question that you that Bernie and said that the two of you should be asking is, why did he take me in that room? What is happening in the White House is so crazy that you have to take the only black woman serving on the staff into the basement of the White House, lock the door with guards outside, and not allow her to leave? Those are the questions that should be asked.
Well, look,
what's happening in there?
They wanted to question you. Omarosa, you come off as a backstabbing weasel. You really do. I mean, I hate to say that to you, but that's a fact.
As a hater.
I'm not a hater. You come across as you said. It's not about me. It sounds like it's all about you. This man is what he's done for this country is incredible. You are a hater, and you're an ingrate and a rat.
So there you go. That was Bernie McGurk putting Omarosa in her place.
It's grotesque, this whole circus, you know.
Yeah, well.
This is grotesque. This woman shouldn't be on TV. This isn't news.
She's not going away, that's for sure.
Yeah, because the circus, to sell in these low-rated TV shows, that they have to have you have to have an agreement on what a rating point is because the shows are so underviewed by people. Put this crap on to sell products. This is ridiculous. I mean, it's such crap. You know, Donald Trump is emblematic of just utter, like what I said about Kim Kardashian like 5 years ago about American culture. It's just endemic now through everything. This is just pure crap.
What I say is what I say.
How do people friggin'... It's crazy.
Well, Archie might agree with some of that. He says, Donald may lack sophistication, but is a real world person in my estimation. Is there currently a better choice? Nah. Well, we are going to have to get used to the idea probably sooner or later with President Pence.
I don't know. Nobody's going to remove Trump for Pence. This guy shows no character whatsoever.
Mike Pence?
Jesus, you could probably... I've never seen him in person. He might just be a cardboard cutout or a hologram. He certainly doesn't behave like a human being.
Yeah, Mike Pence, yeah. Like I always say to me, he just seems like a guy who knows something, and he's biding his time.
He's not going to become president. Who'd want that jackass? We'd rather have we'd rather have the circus.
So, what did you think of? I did see a comment you made online about plaid shirt guy, the Trump rally goer who became a meme after being removed.
He's probably too rambunctious.
Trump's speech. Yes, he had facial expressions that did not comport with the message of our president.
They're going to do that. They're going to remove somebody like that because when you're put up there, it's just not random. You're taken by the campaign or whatever and put up there.
Right. Yeah, Trump was, for anyone who hasn't seen it, Trump was giving a rally in Billings, Montana, and one audience member placed just behind the president was not buying it. Twitter users noticed...
It must be difficult even for a Republican,
a
conservative, to listen to some of this BS.
Twitter users noticed that the rally goer, known only as the man with the plaid shirt, kept responding to some of the more Trumpian claims made by the president at his rally with expressions of shock, doubt, and mockery. Trump claimed in his rally we've picked up a lot of support, to which plaid shirt guy replied, have you?
Jeez.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes.
At least he got out of there without being beaten up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, at least they were nice to him. Well, he's a high school kid, so that would have looked really bad.
I don't believe any of this is even real.
Really? Do you think the plaid shirt guy is a crisis actor?
No, I mean, I just think, I'm here being put through some unimaginable torment by a malicious God. This can't be real. I mean, come on. It makes no sense.
By the way, coincidentally, in high school, some friends and I had a death metal band called Malicious God. I don't know if I've ever told you about that.
yeah, it's hard to think of a benevolent God with all this crap.
Right. Well, we're living it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Living large, baby.
Archie in the Facebook live chat says, "Must leave, guys. I build racing engines.
Oh, cool.
And these people are pushy. Catch you later, Archie." Well, Archie, thank you so much for joining us today, and that's interesting. He builds racing engines.
Can you bring coffee in here?
No.
Why not?
Because there's a stain on the rug, apparently.
I thought there was already there.
So now we are only allowed water.
Oh, okay.
Because water doesn't stain.
Oh.
Yes.
Hey, what time is it?
It is, you've got your meter. It is 5:38 p.m.
Ooh, another 7 minutes of deathless conversation.
Oh,
Is that a proper adjective?
What is it?
Deathless.
Deathless?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do you know we're not going to talk about death? How do you know I don't have a story about death here?
Deathless is a word, but I don't remember the adjective, what it really means.
Deathless was actually one of our popular songs in
Death Wish or Deathless?
Deathless, Malicious God. We had that was our big hit single.
I'm thinking of doing a tribute to Burt Reynolds on my TV show, my return to television. Tuesday.
You're returning to television Tuesday?
Yes,
I
think. I'd rather have somebody else do it instead of me. But,
wow! To me, it sounds like a big event.
Why is that?
It's your return to television.
Oh yeah, ho hum.
You've been away for so long.
How long have I been away from?
It's been years, I think, right? Hasn't it been like 6 years since you've been
Ever
on television?
Since Steinfeld got canceled.
Right. Well, no, it wasn't. Oh, Jerry Seinfeld gets really mad. You ever see the clip of Larry King interviewing Seinfeld, and Larry King talks about the show being canceled, and Seinfeld gets mad at him because Larry King did not have the right information because the show was not canceled. Seinfeld said, "That's enough. We're done. In 9 seasons, that's enough."
Yeah, the 9th season really sucked.
Oh, now see, if you say that to Jerry Seinfeld, he'll get really mad about that.
Larry David wasn't there.
I didn't know that. It
was awful.
The series finale was terrible.
Yeah.
Painfully unfunny. I couldn't understand what the idea was there. I mean, I understood the concept, but there were literally like no laughs in the series finale of what people say is the greatest sitcom in the history of television. Very strange.
They did the finale on the Larry David show, which I think that was his last season too.
Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Are you sure? Because at one point that show ended, but then it came back.
Did it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe it did, but
it's very confusing. That's a great show, though. I haven't seen it in a long time, but
I used to watch it.
Yeah, I liked it better than Seinfeld.
DVD.
Yes.
Oh, you're not a Steinfeld fan?
I am a casual fan. I've probably.
Oh, I love Steinfeld.
I've probably seen maybe 30 or 40 episodes over the course of my life.
They ought to redo Steinfeld with Joel. Give him something to do.
Oh.
He could play all the parts.
Oh.
Jerry, George.
Well, I can imagine him as George.
Kramer.
Actually,
and Elaine with a wig.
Right.
Yeah, would be interesting.
Have you discussed this with him? You could bring him to Hollywood.
Nobody here has heard from him.
For real?
Not that I know of.
Oh. That's kind of sad.
How's it sad?
I'm sad now. I
Why?
miss Joel. I miss Joel.
Well,
Joel the Moose Elber.
I just think he didn't want to do it anymore.
Oh, maybe this is him calling. Let's find out. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon. Who's this?
It's your old pal Fred.
Fred Boenig from thedailyripple.org. How are you, sir?
Hey, it's my time to say goodbye. Fred, I got to go up my meter. I'll let you two guys wrap up the show.
Okay, John is leaving, so
take care.
Don't take
Bye, John.
Don't take offense. He just he's trying to avoid a parking ticket. Fred, I'm not sure what's on your mind specifically, but I'm just going to go ahead and ask you because I don't think we've discussed it, and I know you have your finger on the pulse. Who do you think wrote the op-ed?
Well, I'm still with Lawrence O'Donnell.
Me too. Yep.
And I believe it was Coates. And but here's the thought. The guy I wanted to call you about the plaid shirt.
Yes.
Guy.
Yes, plaid shirt guy.
The plaid. He was a high school student. A bunch of his friends got to go. He doesn't support Trump. He actually was wearing a Democratic Socialist button. Socialists of America button while he was there.
Okay.
And so he got picked to be a VIP kind of by random. Because they put down, when they bought the tickets or whatever, when they applied to get the tickets, he just got picked. And so they put him back there, him and his buddies. But the funniest part about it was, he just wanted to not miss an opportunity to see the President of the United States.
Yeah.
And I can understand that.
Of course.
But the fact that he had a socialist button on is amazing.
Yeah. Well, do you think that, I wonder if he put it on when he was already in his seat? Because how could they not have known? Well, maybe they just didn't notice. Or I wonder if he put it.
He might have put it on later.
Yeah.
But believe me, there's people that are sitting there, going, who the hell is that kid? Who is that kid back there? Get him out of there,
Right.
Get some blonde-haired girl in there with a Trump hat on.
Right, yeah. Oh yeah, that's funny. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a strange time we're living in right now. You know that you might want to take some time to look up the Federalist Society, and to see that Conway, the press person for the president, her husband is a member of that, and he just wrote a scathing article about them, just that they know how bad this all is, and they're just so wanting to get their agenda in that they're willing to risk the entire country to do that. And he wrote a scathing on Kellyanne Conway's husband. You can look it up, but he's on the board of the Federalist Society.
Yeah, George Conway, yeah. Well, I've always been fascinated by the dynamic where, he goes on Twitter and really pretty aggressively sometimes trashes Trump. And it's like, I always wonder what must be the dynamic in that marriage where, this is his wife's boss that he just goes out and publicly beats up. But I didn't know about this op-ed. So he wrote this about the Federalist Society?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did, and which is pretty cool. But keep in mind Carville, right? I mean, his wife was a Republican strategist.
Mary Madeline, yeah.
Right. So it's not like that. Politics in the house can't. I think we find it rare when the husband and wife actually agree.
But it makes me wonder. See, she's actually my number 2, Kellyanne Conway. She's my number 2 pick. If it's not Dan Coates, I think it might actually be Kellyanne Conway.
And they threw in that lodestar to kind of throw people off.
Yeah, that's what I think. Whoever wrote it, I think threw that in there to throw people off. We may know. What's heartbreaking is we might never know, but I hope we know someday.
Well, again, as President Obama said, that's not the way to do business anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We appreciate that you're being, you're out there telling this stuff, but the fact that you're staying in there and that you agree with 90% of the baloney, doesn't make you that much of a hero.
Right. right.
And when they, when the president goes out and claims all these victories, I mean, here we are again. He's talking about North Korea, doing another summit. And then they get on, and Sarah Huckabee is on there going, well, they gave back the bodies. They gave back 50 boxes that they haven't even figured out who's in them.
Right.
Yeah. They and it may not be anybody. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know any of that stuff. I mean, that's a great thing that they did, but there's thousands. There's a lot that they don't have, and that we've been watching them, still test, and they didn't do any of the things they said. I mean, 2 weeks ago they were saying, yeah, they're still making fuel, they're still making all this stuff. We can see them doing it.
Right.
And now it's like, oh no, they're complying with everything. They didn't show off their missiles this time.
Oh, and their big parade. Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like.
Right? I mean.
Yeah, it seems like there's two different messages. I mean, obviously Trump wants to continue to push the narrative that this has been a great success, but the intelligence community did say no, they're still making missiles. They're just trying to hide it.
Right. No, and you're just waiting for everybody to start cheering, "No bell, no bell, no bell."
Yeah.
It's just another way of Kim Jong-un just conning. He's of course here. The whole world knows that they're playing him. I mean, everybody's playing him.
Yeah.
Canada's playing him. I mean, everybody's playing him. He's so, his ego is so there, so on his sleeve. They all know the game. I mean, all the people working there, the Republicans are playing him. I mean, Lindsey Graham of all people, supporting the president because he's trying to get his agenda done.
Right.
And as soon as that's done, after this election, these guys are going to dump him like a hot potato. If this thing goes bad for the Republicans, they're going to dump him like a hot potato. and they're going to get Pence in, like you said.
Yeah.
And if Pence isn't involved in the Russian and for lying, and if he's still in, they're going to have to get rid of him as well. And then of course, then the Democrats will be happy because then it'll be the Speaker of the House, and we all know who that'll probably be.
Right.
It'll be the first woman president.
I don't think, though. I mean, do you know of any reason to think that Pence's hands aren't clean? I mean, it seems like. I haven't seen or heard anything linking him to anything involving, the Russia probe.
Yes, from the very beginning. The very beginning, if you look it up, just
Really?
type in Pence lied. You'll see that he was involved with the firing of Comey all the way back. What about Flynn? Although he knew about all those guys, they were all briefed. They were told about Flynn.
Okay.
About that he was. If you just go back and look at then, it's not the recent stuff.
Okay.
It's all that stuff in the beginning when it went over. They all knew what was going on. I mean, of course they all knew. You think they were all being quiet about it? None of them. Believe me, they all knew. They all knew right from the beginning what was going on, because I can't imagine any of those people not bragging about it amongst themselves.
Yeah, Pence just strikes me as pretty disciplined, though, and very, very careful. It's like I always say, he looks like a guy who's just kind of in the background, just kind of calculating in his own mind, just kind of waiting for his moment, But who knows?
He was a talk show host, remember that, right?
Pence
and
was?
His producer said he was the most directable person he had ever met. And his wife is extremely, extremely motivated. All right? So most of his life, he's been doing, what he's been told and directed to do.
Yeah.
And he knows that as long as he's kissing, did you see him today with the water bottle and the whole, take the water bottle off the table because Trump took the water bottle off the table? He knows he's next in charge.
Right.
And he also knows that he can just stick around long enough, he'll be president.
Right.
He knows that. So, but it's not that nobody's informed him on anything, because he got caught lying right in the beginning when he said, I didn't know. And then, of course, he did know about Flynn and all that. All those times he lied puts him into the conspiracy, if they get him with a conspiracy.
Yeah.
But they will they're going to go for the kids now in New York State. That's what's going to happen next.
Right.
Whoever the top executive, they're going to go for the kids.
Well, that's like what I said a few weeks ago. I mean, that will be the undoing of Trump and the family. It's not going to be Robert Mueller. It's going to be Barbara Underwood, the state AG in New York.
Yeah.
That's who's going to bring
First in her class
down.
at Georgetown.
Yep. That's who's going to bring them down. All right, Fred. Well, we're getting near the end of the show. So thank you for the call, my friend.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, that was Fred Boenig from thedailyripple.org, which is a great site to check out. Let's see. I've got, because we were kind of talking about the op-ed a little bit. This is from Mediaite. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders was grilled by the White House press corps, as you can imagine, today about the anonymous op-ed. I'll play this audio here in a second, but says here she made a rare appearance in the briefing room today. So this is just today. I mean, her press briefings seem to become rarer and rarer. Let's listen.
That he thought it would be a good idea for Jeff Sessions to look into this. Is there anything about what was published by the New York Times?
And he's referring to, Trump saying that, he wants Jeff Sessions, Justice Department, to actually investigate who wrote the op-ed.
That would warrant an investigation by the Department of Justice.
Certainly if there's an individual, whether or not, since we don't know who they are, if that individual is in meetings where national security is being discussed or other important topics, and they are attempting to undermine the executive branch, that would certainly be problematic and something that the Department of Justice should look into.
So would that be a suggestion of misuse of classified information? I mean, what realm would that fall in?
Once again, it's something that the Department of Justice should simply look into, and that's for them to make that determination.
I just have one quick follow-up on that, if I could. Is the White House actively trying to find out who this person is, or do you not really care and you're moving on to other things?
We're certainly focused on things that actually matter, and the staff here that is here to do their job and not undermine the great work that this president and this administration has done. And we're going to continue focusing on that. It's frankly, I think, sad and pathetic that a gutless, anonymous source could receive so much attention from the media. And I think that the American people would be much better served if we actually spent some time talking about some of the really important things that are facing our country and the things that this administration is doing to help fix them. Justin.
Has the president received the Kim Jong-un letter from the State Department? If so, can you share any details about the content or tone?
All right, well, we'll let that go. So that was then they move on to something else, and that's about the end of the clip. Yeah, so that was her discussing. Obviously, she wanted to, which makes sense, right? Strategically, she wanted to kind of put that to bed, not really talk about it too much. And then Mediaite has a story up, and I thought this was interesting. So Kellyanne Conway attacks op-ed writer as cowardly weeks after trying to trash her own husband anonymously. And Fred and I were talking about that. So her husband, George Conway, like I said, I've been fascinated by this dynamic. George Conway, who I believe used to be a lawyer for the Justice Department and is now working for a private firm, but he goes on, sometimes he goes on Twitter and kind of gently chastises the president, and sometimes he just really goes right at him. But, and then there was that Kellyanne Conway was asked on CNN by someone, and they got into a whole big dust-up about it. I forget who it was that asked Kellyanne Conway the question about her husband and how she felt about the tweeting. I forget who it was now, but Kellyanne Conway did not, she was not pleased with the question. It says here, White House counselor Kellyanne Conway attacked the senior administration official who penned the anonymous op-ed. Okay, we know about that. In an interview with Fox and Friends this morning, Conway said the anonymous official responsible for the op-ed, quote, should be named, blamed, and shamed for not having the courage to come forward, adding that cowards are like criminals. So the writer will eventually out himself by blabbing to someone. Forgive me as I gulp some water. I'm still not quite over this cold. As we get to the end of the show, it's probably good I had a lot of folks on today early in the show, so otherwise I don't know if I'd be able to talk right now. So just last month, however, again, this is from Mediaite, Conway attempted, I remember when this happened, to anonymously bash her husband, George Conway, for being disrespectful by tweeting anti-Trump posts. Follow this carefully. So, when Post reporter Ben Terrace asked her about her husband's tweets for a profile that he was doing on her, Conway said, quote, they are disrespectful. It's a violation of basic decency, certainly, if not marital vows, as a person familiar with their relationship, unquote. Terrace did not allow Conway to switch to off the record just to bash her husband, though, replying, quote, no, we're on the record here. You can't, after the fact, say, as someone familiar. Excuse me. Conway shot back, quote, I told you everything about his tweets was off the record, unquote. The reporter told Conway that never happened, to which the White House official then pivoted to claiming that this is how other people see his tweets, but not that, that's how she was saying. So she tried to anonymously throw her husband under the bus, and it kind of backfired. So anyway, on that note, my throat is kind of done, and as you can tell, and we're almost near the end of the show. So if you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org, where we do archive all the shows. Thank you so much to Democratic congressional candidate for CD1, Naomi Andrews, for calling in at the top of the show. Thank you to my panel today, they've all left me. John Hopwood, Glenn R.J. Ouellette, the People's Mayor, and, of course, Ben Dion, host of the weekly Dion, which is Thursdays at 6 p.m. immediately following this program. So it was fun to have all those guys in here today. Thank you to Fred Boenig for calling in. A.J. Davis from Common Sense Radio is going to be calling in tomorrow. And that's it for now. I'm going to go gulp some more water, and I'm going to get out of here. So I will talk at y'all a little bit later. Thanks, everybody.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes. Donald Trump, he's